Welcome to This Week in the PNFL. I'm your host, Mark Hill, going into season 2043. And along for the ride, as always, are my great co-hosts, Mitch Grawl and Dean Chambers. How you doing, fellas?
Very good.
Yeah, I'm doing good, doing well.
All right. And on this show, we have the assistant commish with us today, Richard Colasino. How you doing, Coach? Or commish?
I'm doing well, Mark. Thanks for
Former
having me.
former coach.
Former coach, retired coach, never coming back coach.
I don't know. There's been some chat about people
Never
trying to
coming
pull you
back.
back.
Never gonna happen.
Never gonna
You know,
happen.
when they say never, it means it could happen.
Never.
There was an old song when you say no, it means maybe, and maybe it means yes.
Yep, and they also say you
Never.
never say never.
Good luck.
So, guys, yeah, we've had a little hiatus. It's we were kind of in between seasons. We had the draft coming. We had the draft that came and went. Um, Sign of the free agents, the draft, training camp, getting your teams together, who you're going to cut, who's going to be in your practice squad. So there's been a whole plethora of things that we've been going through the past couple of weeks. And as you guys are listening to this, there was some new news, some updated news that came out today. We are currently doing this on Thursday, the 14th. So you guys are getting it pretty fresh right now. So get it pushed out as quickly as we can. So you guys will be listening to this. Hopefully, it'll be tomorrow or the 15th or the 16th at the
But
latest.
we moved through the off season pretty quickly, and a lot happened in this off season.
Yes,
But it
we
seemed like
did. Yes, we did.
I mean, we played
Well,
the Super Bowl, we had the usual stuff, and then the draft, and we went right into training camp and all of that stuff that happened with fixing of plays and revising of the play, pulling the new play. It all seemed to me that it all went fast, and the stuff that I worked on in the off season seems like I barely get it done. And oh wow, next week is week one.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I think Mitch was complaining that the draft took too long, so he wanted to have the
No,
draft completed in
the
a
draft
day.
didn't take too long. It was everyone doing their one task they had to do for an entire week that they had to wait to the 11th hour to do. That's what drug the off season on so long. But
Well,
hey, you know what? I think there's a couple of folks that decided they were just going to drag it out just for dragging it out's sake. So
But there's plenty of stuff to do while you're waiting for everyone to do their one task that took a week to do.
I tried to I tried to
Mitch,
make my draft pick while driving. I was told not to draft and drive. So,
if I may inject here, Mitch, I do like to space it out a week at a time for each of these little chores because I actually need the time. I've got a lot of stuff to do in the off season, and I kind of do like to use the entire week. There are other coaches. I think Thomas, he was purposely delaying probably because he had been playing so much. Justin and stuff, and guys want to spend some time working on trades and everything. So I'm really not in a rush, but I do get pressure from coaches to rush it, and I'd actually prefer not to.
okay.
I can't argue with that. And just speaking for myself, um, I finished the stuff that I needed to do in the off season last week.
Right.
So if the
It
off
used to
season
be
was
2 months. It used to be 2 months of off season was the general rule, and that seems to have tightened up to even 6 to 7 weeks now, which I actually don't like. I actually like stretching it out to 2 months. Gives me a chance to do all the updating of stuff on the website and behind the scenes. I got to deal with all 18 of you guys. You guys just have one little chore to do, but I have 18 chores to do.
well,
Mm.
that's what I'm saying. The off season been 2 weeks shorter, then I don't get done the stuff that I was doing. So I don't know for anyone else. I don't know, why anyone else would say, well, let's make the off season shorter and start sooner. Then, it's less
Everyone's
time.
eager to get back on the field, right? They all want to get back to the games.
Mitch.
Yeah, but you got to do that stuff in the off season to be prepared to get back on the field. I wasn't ready to get back on the field 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Right.
Just barely ready now, but I am ready.
Okay. Any comment, Mitch? You're sitting over there kind of quiet.
well, I'm letting you talk. No, the sooner we get to play, that's fine with me. But I also know that there's more stuff to do behind the scenes for Rich than it is for anybody else. So whatever Rich's schedule is fine with me.
Question is, when we hit the field, is your team going to play like Colorado or is it going to play like Nebraska?
Ooh, you went there
Well, my
early,
team
didn't
has
you?
better players than both of them, so I think they'll be okay.
You have Travis Hunter on your team? I kind of doubt it.
Oh, Rich, they're starting early. They are starting
Yeah.
early.
We
Mitch
get,
sounds a little. He sounds a little down tonight.
Yeah. What's going on, Mitch?
Well, I'm in battling COVID for the last week and a half, so
Yep, I know.
still getting over that a little bit. But I'm just ready to get this season started. Huh? Time for all the chatters ready to go. I'm ready to get on the field and play.
Yeah, it's something to take your mind. Hey, for someone who had COVID, also we talked about that earlier during the week. It's not a fun thing to have, and anything that takes your mind off of it is a good thing. So this game manages to take your mind off of the stuff that's just getting at you. So hopefully everything's not tasting salty anymore. At least it's not as bad.
Oh
So
no, no, I'm actually sitting here eating cheesecake right now. Actually,
okay, yeah.
oh yeah,
And at least it doesn't taste like you've been at Red Lobster on a salt lick. So
no, no.
okay.
Though I'm waiting for the your commentary about the Jets being on the mission. I have missed that for the last few weeks.
Hey, I called it. I called it. So all right. So we're gonna go through the our three topics as we dig into this a little bit more today. Um, First thing we're going to do, we touched on a little bit. We're going to go into the upcoming season, the predictions, who we think are going to do well, who we think are going to kind of trail off, kind of touch on the overall schedule, just the general upcoming preview of the season. Middle segment, I'm going to talk about some things that Richard mentioned in pre-show regarding the points. I know, according to him, there's been a lot of chatter going on, and I think there's some information that might have been posted about the points as well. So we can kind of get a little in depth from the assistant commish. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about the games. As you guys know, the games aren't going to be held until next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we'll do our predictions. And we have the bookie in the house with us this time. So the bookie will be calling his shots and his point spreads, and we'll be kicking that around. So as we head into this week, first thing we talked about are this upcoming season. A lot of things have happened as far as our off-season program. So what I want to do, I'm going to start with Mitch, his predictions, and then we're going to go with Dean, and then I'm going to have Richard come in last since he's has the high overview. He knows all and see all. He's our oracle, so I will let him listen to what the other guys say first, and then he can come in and either agree or disagree. So, starting with you, Mitch, what do you see for this upcoming season? Teams in
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
as it well, the way the way I look at it, this upcoming season, we do have one brand new coach that we joined me. As I said, we don't have any brand new coaches. We do though. We have one brand new coach. I was going to say that everybody's got at least 1 year of experience under their belt, but we do have Anaheim that's going to be a rookie, so don't really know what they're going to do, at least early on in the season. But I still think that regardless of that, you're going to see some of those same, uh, you know, perennial powerhouse teams at the top of the chart again this year. I think, Chicago, Washington, New York, they'll be playoff teams, likely win their divisions, will likely win their divisions by a lot out there. AFC West will be the most competitive division with Kansas City, Minnesota, and Los Angeles fighting it out this year. I think Los Angeles and Kansas City seem to flip flop division titles every few years now. It seems like, and Minnesota they really came on in the last year, so I don't really see that changing that much. I think the biggest thing that'll be fun to watch is to see which of these teams that maybe snuck up the last year, like in Indianapolis, can they sustain what they started last year? Can the Giants, take another step forward this year? I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what to think of either of those teams this year, but it'll be interesting to see if they can find some way to sustain it. I think Jacksonville's probably going to finish at the bottom of the AFC East again. I sit there and look at the AFC West, and I don't know, out of Pittsburgh and Las Vegas, I really don't know who will kind of finish the tops between those two. I think in the AFC West, sorry, NFC West, you would think Anaheim would probably finish last, but don't count Seattle out from finishing last in that division. And then in the NFC East, probably Detroit, but Atlanta could sneak their way into last place in the NFC East. But anyhow, you never know. You never know. So those are my few thoughts. I think end of the day, you'll probably end up with a New York Jet Chicago Super Bowl, but don't count out Washington or I'd say Kansas City or Los Angeles to get in there. You never know. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the season there, Mark.
Where's the optimism?
You
We usually
notice how
talk this season about who's going to win, not who's going to finish in last place.
Yeah, you notice how he went through his whole rundown, and he had to make sure, okay, let me go ahead and poke Seattle, and then on the way, as I'm walking out of the door, I'm going to run past Atlanta and smack them too as I'm running out the door.
And you forgot part of the script. I thought you were going to be promoting the Big Easy bandwagon this and telling us about how the Saints are such a great team. I thought that was part of the script. You left that off the script?
No, I mean they'll probably be fine, but they're not gonna win much of anything in the playoffs if they get there. So.
All right, so Dean, you are up. What do you see this season?
Yeah, I think I guess I can start with maybe the easiest one, the AFC East. I think the Jets are still going to be pretty strong in the division. I think Indianapolis stands a good chance. I don't see that Coach Hoover is going to take a step back in coaching his team. And so I still think Indianapolis is likely a playoff team. I don't support this idea that the NFC West is good. I mean, the AFC West is going to win 3 of the 4 playoff spots. I think Indianapolis is going to have something to say about that plan. New England, they could go either way. I mean, I've said in the past, New England was improving. This past season, New England didn't do as well. We like to pick on Jacksonville. I think it's a challenge for them. We'll see. I mean, Jacksonville could surprise us, but I'm not predicting it. So in the AFC West, I'm still pretty bullish about the chance for the Chargers. I think the Chargers are still going to win the division. I think the real question is whether it's Minnesota or Kansas City that gets out of the playoff spot. It's not both. I think the Chargers are solid to hold on to the division title. So I think it's a matter of basically one playoff spot. Is it Minnesota? Is it Kansas City? It might come down to the 2 games between those 2 teams, is how I say it. NFC West, Shuggy is new at Anaheim. I think it's going to take him some time to adjust to coaching in the PNFL and putting together game plans and profiles the way that we need to do it here in order to be competitive. I think at some point he'll I don't know what that point is, whether it's week 1 or it's week 16 or anywhere in between, but he'll get adjusted to that, and he will be competitive once he gets up to speed. I don't know how long it would take him to get up to speed. I think Chicago is still more likely to win the division. I think it's possible that Charlie could make the playoffs again. But once again, I think there's only one wild card from each division. So whether that's going to be the Saints or it's going to be the 49ers, more likely. And in the NFC East, I think you'd have to favor Washington. But I think the Giants and Falcons will have something to say about that. Detroit, I think, is too young a team, and I mean, James will win some games, but I don't see him competing for a playoff spot. So that's what I'm seeing right now.
All right. So we are going to turn to our guest.
Well, it sounds like actually what Dean just said is that there's one thing we can all agree upon, and then that Seattle will not make the playoffs. So I agree with you, Dean.
No, I didn't say that. I think Seattle is going to be improved this year. Whether that means
I'm not, you know what? I'm gonna be like Dion. I'm not saying a thing. Not saying a word.
Seattle is not going to be last place. Let's put it that way. That's not happening. Who is last? I don't know. Depends on how competitive Anaheim is. I mean, there's even a scenario in which Seattle is a very good team this year, and Anaheim wins some games, and don't rule out the possibility that the Saints fall back to fifth. I don't think the 49ers will fall back to fifth, so I think that's less likely.
Let him run. Let him run. Just let him run. It's that he's got that vid, so that vid is just running its course through him. So let that COVID run through him. You know, it's kind of is having him a little bit delusional over there. So just let that vid run its course and just let him just kind of yak and yak and yak. So it'll be all right.
I'm just looking at those career winning percentages. That's all, guys.
Mm-hmm. Rich, so
yes, sir.
We got our resident sick person over there. You know, I think that COVID is kind of hitting to his brain cells again. So, so you have a look at the league as a whole. You've seen everything that's been going on. You've seen a lot of movement without giving too much away. What is your take on what you see this season?
Well, I think Mitch and Dean kind of covered it. The way I see it, you got the Jets and the Cardinals, tier one. Both of those guys are going to win their division. It's over. And then you have tier two is Washington, Kansas City, Los Angeles, Minnesota. Those four are likely to make the playoffs. So you got 2 spots left. That's pretty much how I look at this season. Which coach is actually going to do the work and step up and make the playoffs?
Okay.
Is it Dean? Is it Charlie? Is it Frederick? What Neil? I mean, Tim in Indianapolis. I don't know who, but those are the tier 3 teams. Sean, maybe. Sean had a good season last year, made the playoffs. Will he do it again? I don't know. It's hard to say. And unfortunately, Mark, I mean, you, Jacksonville, and I'm trying to think who else is on. James in Detroit. There's like 4 or 5 teams who I don't really have much faith that you guys are going to step up, but you could, because it's possible. There are spots there available. It will be tough in the AFC for those 3 teams again to make the play. They didn't do it last year, right? So it was only 2 and 2, right? In the East and West. So that will be tough, unfortunately, for Mitch and Steve and Barney. But that's how I say it. I don't see much change. You got to show me the coach who's going to step up. I haven't seen that coach yet.
Okay. Because I was thinking from the AFC
again, we
side.
all agree that Seattle is not making the playoffs. I agree with you, Rich.
All right,
Until further notice. I need to see Mark do more. I need to see more of it. Right now I'm seeing 5 or 6 wins.
I didn't vote for that motion.
Let him run. Let him see. I what I'm saying right now is Rich is making Mitch feel good. Like I said, Mitch got that COVID running through him.
I'm not trying to make him feel good. I look at the history. The history of the coach is important.
Yeah.
And I have yet to see certain coaches consistently step up and win 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games.
Understandable.
If you win 5 and then win 9 and then go back to 4, what am I going to believe in the year after that?
Right. Depends on what
No, that's
how
a good
depends
system.
on what you how it is and what you have going on, and in that from that
Of course.
perspective, that makes a lot of sense.
I
So
know Justin's going to win 13 games. I know Thomas is going to win 13 games. I don't have to guess. I know it. Those guys are locked in. They will win their divisions without trying because
hmm
those guys right now are the top of the heap. They're the two best coaches in the league.
hmm
It's one of the reasons why I don't want to come back. I don't want to play those two guys.
you spending your evenings sitting there trying to figure them out, huh?
No, I don't. I have no interest in that anymore. Let them battle it out. Those guys are. It's a coin flip. They could very well end up in the Super Bowl again, and you could flip a coin.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense.
So, which one of you guys is? Is it Sean, Dean? Is it you, Mark, or Matt, or any of these guys? Which is the next coach who's going to take that next step? And I really haven't seen it yet. So
Mm.
we'll see. Maybe it's Donovan. Maybe it's Neil. Maybe one of those guys, suddenly steps up.
Right.
I think Neil will be improved this season. Whether that means a playoff spot, I don't know, because it is tough, as you said. And I just don't look at my situation as well.
Well,
You know,
Dean, you're an
it's coming
example.
up, so we have to prove that we've done. Which
Dean,
one of
you
us?
had a great run. I mean, a couple seasons ago, you had a great run. You get to the Super Bowl, but you got to back it up. You got to back it up with a 10-win season and get back there again and show that you can keep getting back there season after season and keep
Right.
knocking at the door.
And that didn't happen.
And that didn't happen. So how can I look at the Atlanta Falcons this year? I mean, are you a playoff team or are you a 7-win team? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Right.
That makes sense. I mean, he's Should I go ahead and take up an offering right now, Rich, from your sermon? I mean,
I'm not trying to
but
take
just-
shots at teams.
oh
I'm not
no,
taking
you're not
shots.
taking shots. I mean, by all means, by looking at it, it's like, yeah, he's speaking the truth,
Hey,
So-
listen, Mitch has got something to prove this year.
Oh, yeah.
And Mitch lost 5 in a row, right, to end the season.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a gag job at the end. I mean, so yes, Mitch does have a good career record. He's 20 or 30 games over 500, but he's been lacking finishing this deal off. He's got to step up also.
Yeah. That early onset COVID. But no, but that's where, sometimes we're joking around. I'll go, I'll point back to some of the career wins or seasons, whatnot. And I think you look at the last 10, 11, 12 seasons, right? There's 3 or 4 teams that have consistently had winning seasons every year for the last 10 or 12 seasons, and then everyone else just kind of bebops around, bebops around. And
And Justin and Thomas have 30 consecutive winning seasons.
yeah,
But
exactly.
of the 18 of us, there's only a handful of us that have won Super Bowls in, say, the last 20 seasons. It's Justin, Thomas, Jerry has a couple, I think, and Steve has one. Is there anyone else who's active?
William before he retired won 6, I believe.
So, but I'm saying active now. I'm saying of the 18 of us.
Active now? No, just those 4. Yeah, that's it.
Right.
And if you look, even career winning percentage, I think there's only out of the 18, 5 with a career winning percentage over 500.
Yeah. And that's where, again, you have some of these team coaches who have been in the league, 8, 10, 12 years. I don't see the consistency with some of these guys. I'm not seeing continual 10-win seasons each year and some playoff success other than Justin and Thomas. And Jerry has had his moments, had a few moments in there. And unfortunately, Charlie has kind of taken a little bit of a step back. But, and Steve had his great run. But of the other coaches, I haven't seen it yet. And actually, I root for the, Tim or one of these other guys to step up and to create another great coach because it just makes the games that much more fun. For someone to challenge Justin in the West, someone to challenge Thomas in the East. I don't see the challenge yet. I don't see Tim challenging Thomas yet. I don't see Frederick getting over the hump. Mark, you're still behind. Shuggy there, I have no idea what to expect. I'm going to assume he's going to have a bad year because new coaches usually have bad years. So we'll see. But I hope one of you guys steps up and kind of creates a little bit of a mess for these better coaches.
That makes
That's
sense.
right.
Kind of push the envelope for them and, try to get it turned up. So, we can talk all day long. I think we said earlier, everyone's 0-0. So everybody has those hopes that they can do something. I know I'm one of them as well. So,
And,
What was
and
it you said last season, Mark, when you said that everyone's going to do well, and Mitch was kind of critical. I forget what the phrase was that you
it's like,
kept on saying.
yeah, everybody, you have 9 winners and 9 losers every week. So everybody can't go in at 500 into the playoffs. That's not going to happen. So,
Mitch used to criticize you for being optimistic and say, "Well, everyone's going to do well."
hey, look,
both impossible.
I'm ex-military. I always try to find the best in people. So, so it's what it is. So we just move on from there. All right. So I think we kind of kicked this around enough. So, lot of expectations for a lot of people, and I think Richard pretty much hit it perfect. There's going to be teams that we already know, but who is willing to take that next step and move up. So it would be nice. It's going to be interesting to see at the end of the year to see who took a step forward, who took a step back. It's going to be an interesting season, I think. So next portion that we're going to move into, there's been some items that's been on the forum, and or they've been talking with Richard lately, and I'm gonna let Rich go ahead and start off with this. And this is tied to our points. From what I read on the forum, by going through it earlier today, and then looking at it as you guys have been talking, that there's been some open discussion regarding the points. And what I'd like to find out by asking Richard is, talk a little bit about the inception of the points, what the history of the points when it first came into the league, and then kind of give us a quick, maybe a Cliff Notes version leading up to where we're at right now, and your opinion and your take on the points, the way it is in its current state. And then I'll have the guys jump in at the end of it. So if you can go ahead and just give us a little background on that, Rich.
Well, I can't tell you exactly when the points came in because there were 3 seasons where I disappeared. It was 2013, 14, and 15. I wasn't a part of the league. I had retired. I didn't want to do it anymore, but then I came back. When I came back, the point system was in place. I have no idea who created it, where it came from, no clue. But back then, there was no trading of points, and it was just a base, allotment each season. And we've just gone forward until the last, maybe 5, 6, 7 seasons ago, where we started trading points, carrying over of the points. And that's really the problem, I think, now. It is my belief that the carryover should go. It should disappear. Also, the trading of points, I think it probably should go also, in order to level off all the teams, where all teams get a base allotment of, and this is a pretend number, but we'll say 75 points. And that's it. You get to use those 75 that season. If you don't use them, you lose them. You can't trade them, and you just deal with your team that way. As opposed to James having 300 points at one point, or Justin having 150. And I'm not saying they did anything wrong. They acquired the points legitimately. But it's not good for the league for those 2 teams to have those points, because then they control the market. They control the free agency market. They can outbid anyone at any time. They can also sign all the practice squad players if they wanted to. It's not healthy for the league to have that. But we have to deal with those 2 teams because they have a lot of points, and they earned them fairly. So how do you take them away now? So I'd like to think other coaches would maybe come up with some clever idea to perhaps phase this out. but there are teams who love it. There are teams, you guys are, you're trading points left and right and stuff, and teams like that. So I don't know that we can ever change. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I have a quick question. I understand the logic of what you're talking about, and I think in some cases it's been useful and maybe not caused that much of a problem, that teams can view the points as kind of a commodity that you can trade them or use them to like even off trades. But my question is, if we do two of the things that you talk about, if we eliminate the carrying over points from one season next, where you have to spend them at the end of the season or you lose them, is what I'm understanding you're saying, and we still limit how many points each team can get. Do we really even need to? Do we even need to prohibit trading them at that point? Because if you only get so many per season and you have to spend them all that season, they can be useful in trading them. For, well, you look at what James did. He gave me 8 points to trade down one spot in the draft,
Right.
and how much he values points. Although he said in that email, like, well, I have those in my couch, but I think that was kind of dismissing the value of that. I think it was significant that it was so important to him to trade up for third, because he was worried I was going to draft a cornerback at pick number 3, that he gave me 8 points to do that.
But
we saw that.
I see it the opposite. I see that's exactly what Rich is talking about, is that, James or anybody else can go, well, shoot, these don't mean that much, and I can just sling them out of my couch because they've already compiled so many legitimately. Like, yeah, I'm not saying anything wrong, but it takes away the value or the purpose of what the points were probably intended to be. I don't know. I think that just kind of almost reinforces a need probably to look at realigning this a little bit.
Well, I think this hurts free agency too. I get emails from you guys like, free agency stinks. There's no good players in there. If you had a base allotment every season, and I could kind of move it lower or high depending on how it looks, I could create a pretty robust free agency for teams if that's what you guys want, where if the points are limited and you have a limited amount of points to sign your own players, and then to also then get into free agency and sign other, it could actually be kind of fun. But the way it is now, free agency is dead. There's nothing I can do about free agency when Justin's got 150 and James has got 180 and other teams have 60 or 80 extra. There's just too many points in the marketplace. They're diminished.
I think the root cause of the problem is the ability to stockpile them and carry them over. So if each team is limited, you're limited to carryover, I don't see trading as a problem, because if each team is getting 55 points per season, you don't have that many to trade. But the trading is useful. I mean, look at what Mark did. He signed, he bid on those practice squad players, and then on the side of that, worked out trades with those players. He sent 6.5 points for a couple of the players with Kansas City. He paid 2.5 points for another. So that's a good use of points, and I think that doesn't allow him to like dominate anything or corner the market on anything.
I actually have less problem with the trading of points, unlike Jerry. Jerry hates the trading of points, and me and him have gone back and forth on this, and I don't really see the trading of points I don't think it's been a problem, not really. The carryover is what kills me, because here's the problem with the carryover. At any point in time, any team can basically tank a season and then basically sign nobody and then just collect the points and carry them over. And unfortunately, James has done this a couple times. And again, he did it fairly. Those were the rules in place. But also, we eliminated the salary cap, which also means we eliminated the salary floor, so James has not had to field a competitive team. So this is a problem, because any team can do this and just say, you know what, I'm going to keep my 55 points this year and not spend one of them and sign a bunch of 0-point free agents. And I think this needs to be eliminated.
In defense of Jerry, as I understand it, I think he's against the trading, and I don't agree with this, because he views the points as kind of like a cap and not like as a commodity to be traded. So if a team has 55 points, it's like a cap, and you can't trade that. But our points purely a cap. It is but the point you make is good too, with elimination of the salary cap floor. it is possible to just trade all your good players away, not sign contracts, sign a bunch of cheap free agents, or even 0.1 free agents, put together a team and, carry over those points. So, yeah, I agree with you on that. If we eliminate this carryover, either severely limited or just at some point transition to no carryover at all, spend your points by the time you have to cut down to 53 or they're gone. And you start
Well, the
off.
idea is we're supposed to be like the NFL. The NFL has a salary cap. Okay, and we've eliminated that so we could move players around, and I'm fine with that. But the salary cap floor, it had consequences by eliminating that. And I didn't see it at the I didn't realize, and James is the only team who's done it. But it's not good. It's not good to have that. We got to have a salary cap floor again. Every team needs to feel a competitive team. And I'm sorry for James has 26, rookies and 21-year players. That's not realistic. That's not the NFL. And his salary cap is way down. Last year was like barely over 100 million, and Justin's got 380. That's just not the way it should be. Right. So I think the elimination of the carryover, having a salary cap floor, and then and I would allow some trading of points. I don't think it hurts things the way Jerry thinks it does. I think it actually does what you said, Dean. It actually helps move deals. You can trade a player for a point or two or whatever,
yeah.
Or it balances off a trade. I actually kind of like that. I don't have a problem with that. It's the other two things I hate.
Right. So do you think that this is something that I'm assuming that it's probably too late to discuss now that the
we
season
have two
has
elephants
started?
in the room. That's the problem. We have two big elephants in the room, and that's Justin and James. And you have to come up with a plan where they get to keep their points, even if they're spread out over time, because they earn them fairly.
Yes, they did. I agree. They use the rules to their advantage, and you can't fault them for that.
So a system has to be created where everyone who's got points carried over, every team in the league has got something, where everyone gets to keep their points, but they're spread out maybe over a decade or 5 years, 6 years. I don't know what the time frame is, but then as we go forward, the carryover has to end. That would be the way to go forward.
So you would phase it in, or
I know I want the carryover. I'd like to stop immediately, but everyone still gets to keep their points, and we'll just spread instead of getting let's say the allotment was 55. Well, Justin's got, let's say, 100 points. I don't know what he has exactly, but if those points were divided over the next 5 seasons, maybe his allotment then is 75 in each of those seasons, because he gets to keep his 100 points, but divided by 5 years.
Right.
And maybe that's the way forward for every team. If you've got 20 points divided by 5, it's 4 extra points. So 55 plus 4, you got 59 points. So for maybe the first 5 seasons, the points are they're random, and they're, some teams have more. But then after that, everyone gets the same exact allotment. That's how I would do it. But it would require teams to agree to this, because it is a pretty big shift. And, people can get kind of upset if they feel like their team's getting screwed.
Yeah, that's
Mitch,
true.
what do you say?
What do you say, Mitch?
Well, I was sitting here thinking about the whole, kind of annuitizing the current carryover points, and my thought is that would be the best way to go. But then two is that even if you annuitize the points out, like you were saying, if you have the 100 current past at 100, and over 5 seasons it's this 20 extra people. How many? My thought is that teams aren't spending. They obviously have not been spending that many points already.
Right.
So I really don't see how.
Well,
I want to say if I had that many points, yeah, I'd be upset if somebody suddenly said, "Hey, you got to give them all up." I mean, I would be kind of agitated by that. But I'm also thinking, all right, if I'm getting 50, let's just like you said, 55 points to start the season for everybody, and I had my extra 20 points. I probably will never spend 75 points in a
Right.
season
Well, this is
anyway.
where and this was the tricky part. I think I posted something on the forum weeks ago. It didn't get much traction. And this is the tricky part. The tricky part is, since I want to end the carryover, all right, Justin's got 75 points. And I don't know, name a team. Dean's got 55. He has no carryover. But the idea would be there is no carryover anymore. So what happens to Justin's points after that season? He loses. Yeah, I think he would have. Yeah, everyone would just basically start back to zero again, right? With your allotment plus your extra points,
Yeah.
which means Justin wouldn't be able to maybe utilize all his points in each of those 5 seasons, or James wouldn't be able to. And this is where these are the two elephants in the room that I don't know how to appease these guys.
Well,
But
and
really,
that's where
for
I
the good of the league, it should
Yeah.
happen.
Well, that's where I also think too. Is like, okay, well, you're never going to spend these points unless you're forced to spend the points. But obviously, you don't need to spend the points. So, do you really? What good is having all this bulk of points doing for you?
But don't
Um,
spend the
yeah.
points. If Justin, for example, is getting 20 extra for 5 seasons to because of the 100, it's better than just losing the 100 outright. It means that for 20, the 5 seasons will have 20 extra points. Spend the 20 extra during those 5 seasons to sign all these veteran players, or bid and free agents, or whatever he does with them, and then
And he could still trade them too. If the trading stays in place, Justin, who's obviously a very smart gentleman, he could trade these points for assets. So I think he could do that easily. But I think it's the way to go. This way, at the end of the 5 seasons, everyone's got the same amount of points,
right,
and no more carryover. And I adjust it properly where and you guys can answer this. Do you guys want to do you want it to be a little tougher, or do you want to be able to sign every one of your players who doesn't have a contract going into the next season? Because it's always kind of funny. I get these emails like, we don't have enough points. We need more points. You're going too low. Each season I'm going lower and lower and lower. Nobody ever loses any players though.
that's the consequence.
I think we need to.
Points to sign.
I think it needs to be. I think it needs to be seen as a salary cap. Be honest
Yeah,
with you.
if we all have enough points to sign all of our veteran players every season, then there's nothing of value in the free agent pool.
Exactly.
Draft.
And that the question is, do you want something of value in the free agent pool?
If we do, then we have to lose them.
Okay.
We don't.
Right. Well, that's just it. You guys have to lose a player or two. Right. I mean, that's the whole thing. That and like Jerry, he's whining to me about that he doesn't have enough points, each season, but he doesn't lose anybody. Like when are you going to lose? Like Justin doesn't lose players. Thomas doesn't lose players. You guys keep all your stars year in, year out. That's not the NFL either. Do you guys want it? I think there should be a little bit of pressure on your rosters.
Right. We can't have our cake and eat it too. We can't have the ability to keep all our veteran players and then expect there to be some quality in the free agent draft.
Exactly.
Hey, but you know what? The good news is it doesn't matter because all the players are the same anyway, right, Rich?
Right, and then of course you have the secret hidden attributes that only certain coaches know about. So there you go.
Well, what about this?
It's a difference.
Okay, I thought about this, and I don't know how you guys would look at this. Now, I know in the NFL, usually they have compensatory picks during the drafts. So if you have these people that have points, let's say they can get a compensatory pick if you want to, because you said with all these guys having points, you just can't take those from them because it would be wrong because they earned them fair and square. What about saying, okay, here's what we'll do. We can pull those away, but when the draft comes up, say at the end of the second round, you get an additional pick in the second round, or you get an additional pick in the third round, one or two, so that would kind of spread it out. Would that be, like it's similar to what the NFL does based off of certain criteria. Could that be something to be looked into as well? Maybe I intentionally left out first rounds. So I would say maybe after the second round, you get one. Maybe after the third round, you maybe get one or two and spread them out that way. Would that be a possibility to look at as well?
What if that's done on a voluntary basis where it could be offer the coaches that have a lot of points accumulate, offer them like a late second round pick. In other words, it'd be like the 19th or 20th pick in round two. And like you could, in essence, buy one of those with points. Maybe like if you turn in 8 points, you get a second round pick. You turn in 5 points, you get a end of the third round pick, or, you know, as a way to, that the league would like buy some of those points back to diminish those points values. Maybe Justin would look at it and say, I'd rather have a couple extra second and third round picks each if it means sacrificing X number of my points. And James might do that too. He likes drafting players and trading
Right,
draft
and then
picks.
that gets you down to what you want the cap number to be.
And then if you evaporate most of those carryover points that way, then you could more quickly than 5 seasons implement ending of the carryover. If you can entice those coaches.
It's an interesting idea. I mean, I'm not opposed. I want ideas. And I'd like to think Justin and James will contribute to these ideas, because let's face it. If not for them, I would just do this. I would just implement it. I would just say, so this is what we're going to do, and deal with it, because nobody else has a lot of points that it really makes that much of a difference,
Right.
except for those two games.
I mean, for me, I kind of look at that because you seem kind of stuck because you can't just take those points from them. And yes, some people may complain, oh, well, wait a minute. There was a guy I wanted in the third round. Now I can't get it because I can't get that individual because these two guys are getting compensatory picks, but it will even things out. And it may be in the third round. You know, they can give an extra pick in the third round. You kind of spread it out. I mean, I tend to lean it, and again, I don't have as much points as they do, but I would be fine with that as a possibility. But at the end, it would be the league talking about it, and then at the end, it would be between you and Charlie to say, hey, this is what we're going to do. But I could see that as a way out.
If we continue the trading of points, but maybe instead of a 5-year annuitization or amortization, that's what I'm trying to say, amortization of those extra points, maybe it's a 10-year amortization. Because they could still trade those points, even though they might not be able to use all of them, obviously, at each of the next 10 seasons for signing players. They'd still be able to trade those points. So it's not as if they've been locked away. That, you know, might be a little bit more realistic from the number of points someone actually would spend during a year, but also would allow folks to be able to trade those, you know, some of those extra points and reduce that number even faster. Maybe it's an incentive to, you know, trade points away to get some draft picks from players. I mean, we've seen that happen where people have traded, you know, 8 points for a draft pick. You know,
I think I'd rather do it the way you're talking, where instead of compensatory picks, I'd rather see Justin use his points to buy draft picks, like you just said. You know, make trades. You know, like, and I think he would. I think James would too. They would adapt to the system, and they'd say, okay, I got a shitload of points. Let me go make a trade with whoever, and you know, and give him 10 points, and go get a second round pick or whatever it is, and do it that way as opposed to compensatory picks. That's how I would rather see it.
Yeah, or to move up in the draft, like James said, he paid me the 8 points to trade. But the one thing I wonder, you're talking about spreading it out over 10 seasons. Is that too long? Because that's 5 actual years of real life. We're talking about that 5 years of spreading out over 10.
Charlie and I joke about this all the time. All right, about this league. We've been doing this this league has been going on for 24 years now. And we joke about like making these plans in the future. And we both like, you know, geez, we might both be dead, but it just keeps going. And we've got 18 teams. We got a guy waiting. I don't see the end at this point. So, I mean, I think you can make a plan for 10 seasons and 5 years. If it doesn't last, it doesn't last. But right now, the league looks pretty strong to me.
There's someone waiting right now?
Yeah, we have someone waiting. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
In fact, he's on the forum. I allowed him to. I created a name for him. I don't think he's spoken yet, but he is out there. I forgot what his name is, but he's out there.
If there was somebody waiting behind Shogi, I thought Shogi was the only one.
And maybe we should implement a rule based on that, Rich, that if you go 3 seasons in a row with less than 4 wins, you lose your spot, and then you have to wait till somebody else.
Is that relegation? Is that what it's called or something?
I don't know. You have to take a step back, and
You've
somebody
been
else
watching
gets a
too
shot.
much Ted Lasso and too much soccer. I think. Are you sure that COVID virus ain't running rampant through you right now, making a return?
The other question I have is if one of those coaches leaves the league before you hand that team over to a new owner, do you just eliminate the rollover points there?
I thought about that. Like, what happens if, let's say, a Justin were to leave or something like that? Yeah, it could be reset. Now, not that Justin's going anywhere, but if someone had to, like James, if all of a sudden he quit, I think I would reset Detroit's points back to 0.
Yeah, because that new coach didn't earn those points.
No. But that's how I see the points. I think the league would be better if it was more level across the, all 18 teams. 2 teams wouldn't get to control all of it. Just like when we do the boost for the draft, I don't like the idea that 2 teams could basically grab all 3 players who got boosted.
Right.
If he wants. If he chooses to just if I boosted the 3 guys to first round level talent, they're all going to end up on Detroit or Chicago. That's not the way this should work.
Mm-hmm.
So, unintended consequences with the carrier.
The way it works now, if one team has like all 18 of the 7th round picks, do they still get more than one boosted player? Or?
No, they don't. And that's also going to change. Me and Charlie have talked about it, and Jerry too. The whole that it's going to change. It's going to have 3 players. It's going to be a random 3 players, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round. You're not going to be able to acquire 12 picks in the 7th round and try to win that lottery like the Raiders, legitimately won in the 7th round. And that's over. Because again, this is not reality. The NFL does not do this. The Bill Belichick is not acquiring 12 7th round picks to get a boost. So
Right.
that needs to end also. So it's going to end.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, we are.
We could call it the Brady boost.
Yeah.
There you
True.
go.
All right,
It'll be
guys.
much more random. It'll be much more random next season.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we can go on this for a little, forever, but we are going long, and I'd say let's go ahead and put a pin in this for right now. We can probably continue it on the forum or via email. I mean, we could actually just do a whole show just on this alone.
I hope
think we just
James.
did.
I
think
want
we just
James
did.
and Justin. I want James and Justin to talk about. Talk on the forum about this. I want to hear what James is very smart. He always has very good ideas. Maybe one of these guys can come up with something that they would find acceptable that we could kind of implement over, like Mitch said, maybe 10 years. That's fine. I don't care. And because if they're on board, we got no problem.
Okay. Sounds like a plan, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So, as you guys know, the games are going to be postponed until next week. So that gives us some more time to get your plays, profiles, get everything squared away. And if you don't have your
It's just the games are on Wednesday and Thursday, as I understand it, instead of Saturday and Sunday. So it's
Yep.
a few days. And then
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Yep, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So you still have time to get your stuff together. I'm sure Richard and Charlie's going to want to have the coaches turn in their early, little sample to make sure everything is set up. I've been working on mine. I'll be sending mine in just to make sure everything is in order, so you don't get the nasty.
Have you had enough practice time with all your new players?
Oh, hey, Mitch, you are so lucky that I am not playing you this season because I am in the process of making some mods to some of your favorite plays. And I'm gonna keep those plays in my pocket until next season. I am putting in a personal request. I want them on my schedule next season. That's a request, Rich.
So you mean that? So the SE27 toss will
see there, he knows it.
positive
See,
yardage?
he's trashing it now, but One day it may be trash, and next day it may be gold. You never know.
The SC21 bull won't fumble
Uh-huh.
every play.
Hey,
I think
Rich,
so.
Rich, write a note. Make sure you know what that play is, because that play is going to come back and haunt him. I guarantee it. And I
look
am
forward to
personally
it.
putting in my request. I want him on my schedule next season.
I don't know how he didn't. He has a third place schedule. How does he avoid you?
I don't know.
I got Detroit. Somehow I got Detroit. I don't know how that.
I'm
know.
putting in a personal request. I want to have him. I'm circling it right now for next season.
Guy's version of that SC27 against Nebraska. It looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
Mitch is lucky to play this season. He just played week 3.
As my family used to say back in Southeast Texas, baby, we just gonna be baking a cake for him. Let him talk. We just gonna bake a cake for him.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he didn't get out Scott entirely. He plays me in week 3. So,
Mm-hmm.
Well, that always makes me shake.
Ah. You may have a surprise a little early on in week 3, Mitch. You never know. All right, we're about to go over an hour, so we got to wrap this thing up. So going into the games for next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're going to go ahead and do our predictions. Mitch, Dean, and myself, we all have lead pipe locks. Since we have the bookie here himself, it would be kind of he can't participate. He can give us his numbers, but he cannot give us the lead pipe lock, because that's kind of like somebody working for the lottery and picking out the numbers. So can't do that. So sorry. I wish I could. It'd be interesting. So as we are going into
I had Seahawks as my lead pipe lock.
There you
All
go.
right, you don't want it.
Hey, got it. Lock it. Yep, lock it. There you go. So as we are going into the week 1 games, full slate starting out. First one on the docket is the Colts versus the Jets. And Rich, what's your take on that? What's your spread, and who's the bookie picking?
Well, if I had to pick the game, I'd take the Colts and the points. Just because it's week 1. I don't think anyone knows what anyone else is going to do. Thomas has nothing to base week 1 off of, so I'm taking the points.
Okay. Mitch, who do you have?
Jets will win, and yep, Jets will win. That's what I'll say about that.
Jets going to cover?
What's the spread? I don't even know what the spread is.
13.5.
13.5.
Oh, I doubt they'll cover the spread, but they'll win the game.
All right. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give the spread, and then I'll let Rich go ahead and give his pick. So we'll do that. Dean, who do you have?
I think Indianapolis is going to be competitive, and they're going to challenge this season. But week 1, I think Thomas will put together just an overall very solid, balanced game plan and get the job done. And I think he will win this game by 2 touchdowns, cover the spread.
All right. I think I'm going to agree with both of you guys, or with all 3 of you. I'm picking the Jets, and I'm going to take the spread on that as well. I think they're going to. I think it's going to be 14, 2 touchdowns, definitely. Next game we have New England versus Jacksonville. The spread on that one is 3.5. Rich, what do you have?
I'll take Jacksonville. I have no reason. I'm just going to take Jacksonville.
Okay. Mitch, who do you have?
I will go with New England, just because it's not what Rich just said. So New England. Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah, I'll go with New England. Yeah.
Okay.
I predict Jacksonville will win 3 games.
Okay, so
they're gonna have an improved season. They will win 3 this year.
All
and
right.
this will be one of the 3.
All right, so
Sorry,
All right.
This will be one of the three. Is what you're saying?
Yes. This will be one of the three. He wins.
All right.
I think. Yeah, I think this would be close only because it is in Jacksonville or at Jacksonville. But I think the Patriots are the better team, and it's just a 3.5 point spread. They'll win this game by 5 or 6 points, so they'll cover the spread.
All right. I think I'm gonna make this a little bit more interesting. I'm gonna take New England. I think Mox is going to. I think he's been working out something during the offseason. I've chatted with him a little bit during the offseason. And I'm gonna shock you guys. I'm gonna give this one my lock. I think he's going to win this, and I'm gonna take the points on it as well. So next one that we have. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna change the rules again. Rich, I'm gonna give you a lead pipe lock also this week, so you get one too. So
All right.
all right. So next game we have Minnesota against the Chargers. They are giving them 4.5 on this one. Rich, who do you have?
This is going to be a fun game as always. I'm going to take the Chargers to cover that 4.5. They'll win by 6 or 7.
All right. Mitch, who do you have?
Well, let's see. You've got the Chargers at home, and you got Minnesota. Minnesota always seems to, you know, figure something out at that first week of the season. So I'm going to go with Minnesota.
Okay. Dean, who do you have?
Well, considering the fact that the Chargers will not be in Super Bowl hangover anymore, and I think Deshaun Kaiser will have a good game. I'm leaning more in the direction that Rich said. The Chargers are going to win at home and definitely cover the spread, possibly by as much as a touchdown, maybe even 10 points. Definitely Chargers win, cover the spread.
Okay. I see that Mitch is already hopping back on the Minnesota train from last season. So it made a stop over, down Georgia way, and he was right there with his bags to jump on it. So I am going to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to pick the Chargers as well. Go with you, with Rich and with Dean, and I think they're going to cover it. And I had to go along with Dean. I think they're going to be by 7. So take that one. Next one we have Pittsburgh and Kansas City. The spread on that one is 9.5. Rich, what do you got?
Give me the Steelers and those points. I have been very unimpressed with the way the Chiefs played the Steelers last year, and Mitch is going to have to prove me wrong.
Ooh. Okay. Dean, what do you have?
The Steelers are going to be tough on defense. I think they're going to get a little bit more balance going on offense. And even though it is at Kansas City, this is especially Steelers are going to win.
Oh. Okay, Coach. What do you got with your team? What do you got? What are your boys going to do week 1?
Well, I mean, it's Kansas City at Pittsburgh. I mean, there's no game that anyone is going to want to watch more than that one. And so, gosh, I mean, it's probably a pick'em game at best, but I guess give the edge to Kansas City at home. I guess give me a little bit of an edge.
All right. Knowing Mitch, and since I've been in the league for several years, and understanding how he goes through and very meticulous in scouting teams out, I'm going to take Kansas City on this. I will not take the points. I think Pitt will put up a good fight, but I'm going to give the edge to Kansas City, but it's going to be by a much closer margin than what's being posted on there. So a much tighter game. Next game that we have, New York Giants at Washington. They are giving Washington 7.5. Rich, what do you have?
I'm taking the Giants in the points. I liked the Giant offense last year, and week one, I don't think Jerry's going to be ready for what Sean's bringing. He may win the game, but he won't cover.
Okay. Mitch, what do you got?
You know what? I'm going to go with the Redskins. Going with the Redskins. I think they'll figure out something to get off on the year on the right foot. So I'm going with the Redskins.
All right.
Washington finished pretty bad last year.
Yeah, they
You
kind of
know,
struggled along the way. Yep.
he's had all off season to think about it.
Yep. Dean, what do you got?
Well, as you'll note, Mark, from I sent you my picks, and I'm sticking with that Washington will win, but they won't cover. The Giants are going to play them very tough, and it's going to be a very close game.
All right. So you're going with Washington on that. Okay.
Just barely. It'll be a 1 point game.
About
21
1
to
point.
20.
Yeah. I got to go by with what Rich said earlier. Washington kind of limped in at the end of the season. I'm kind of leaning more towards New York to start things off on a strong note. I don't think that it's going to be a close game, but I'm giving that edge to New York. I think that they're going to take another step this season in that division. So, picking New York on that one. Next game now. Don't forget the three of you guys. You still have your locks. So, next one that we have Atlanta against New Orleans, and they are giving New Orleans 2.5. Rich, what do you got?
Yeah, this game really could have been a pick 'em. I just gave it to the Saints 2.5 because they're home. I'm going to take the Saints by field goal. I really don't know what to expect from either team.
All right. Mitch, what do you have?
I mean, similar as Rich. I'll go with the Saints just because they're home, but it could go either way.
Okay. Coach Chambers, what do you have?
Yeah, I hope these wins are not prophetic, but if it is a 3-point win by the Saints, it's probably because the Atlanta offense didn't show up. I'm going to predict that the offense is going to play well enough to win this game, but it's probably going to be close. I don't think either one of us, either me or Frederick, I don't think either one of us probably knows what to expect either.
Truthfully, this could have been a pick'em game. I'm going to take Atlanta on this one. Yeah, I don't know what to expect. It should have been a pick'em game, but I'm going to take Atlanta on this one. Maybe by 3 points. But yeah, go with ATL. Next game we have, which is a pickup game, we have Detroit against Seattle. What do you got over there, Rich?
Lock of the week, Seahawks. As long as you remember that James is going to go for every fourth down, he's never going to kick an extra point. Just be aware of that, and you'll win the game.
Yep, I know. Dean, what do you got?
I have something very similar. Yeah, I think this is going to be the opportunity for Seattle to start on the winning side of things, and I think Seattle wins this game, even though it is at home for Seattle. And I'm not sure how close. I mean, it could be close, or it could be 7 to 10 points. It's hard to say, but I think Seattle wins this game, and this is my lead pipe lock.
All right. Mitch, what do you got?
Detroit, lead pipe, book it.
Okay. All right.
I wasn't going to go lead pipe lock, but since all of y'all did, I figured I'd go the opposite way.
Yeah, just stirring up the pot. There you go.
38-9, right? Is that what you're saying, Mitch? Something
That's
like
right.
that?
Yeah, that's right.
To start 0-1 in season on lead pipe locks.
If I have to be honest, Mark, if you'd have come to me first, I was going to pick you if I went by lock.
Wow.
But then since everybody else did it, I'm going to go opposite now because I want to start off ahead of the game.
Yeah, you
Well,
just guarantee.
you had the pick last. You had the pick on the last game. So whenever I kind of bounce it between you two picking, taking turns, unless it's your game. So it was Atlanta's that was before. So I let you start that one. Whatever. All
Yeah,
right.
you just guarantee that you're going to be 0-1 on lead pipe locks start the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 1-0 on lead pipe locks, starting it out. So,
Right, and I'm
and
saying Mitch is going to be 0-1.
do what now?
Mitch is going to be 0-1. He picked the wrong team with that lead pipe lock.
Exactly. So, as for me, obviously, I'm picking my team. Go Hawks. So, next game, we're down to the last two. We have Chicago and San Francisco. They're giving Chicago 10.5. Rich, what do you got?
I'd like to take the 49ers because they do tend to play the Cardinals close, but I'm taking Justin, and I'll give the 10.5 points.
All right. Mitch, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going with Chicago. I think they'll pull it out on the road.
All right. Dean.
I'm picking the upset here. I think Charlie is going to put something together and win this game at home. It's going to be close because it's going to be tough, but he can do it at times. I have my faith in Charlie winning this game.
All right. I think Chicago's going to start off strong. I think it'll be a closer game. I'd say probably maybe a 7-point spread, but I am going with Chicago on this one. So.
Anyone check the weather forecast?
Oh, shoot. You know what? We never did check the weather forecast. I don't know. It all depends on the weather, but I'm still taking Chicago. It's early season.
I can tell you it's rain in Washington.
Yeah, it's San Francisco and not Seattle, but it sometimes rains there too.
Yeah, but we play in a dome, so it doesn't matter.
I like Jerry's games in the rain.
There you go. All right, last game that we have our new coach, Shuggy, in Anaheim, going up against Vegas. Rich, what do you have? Oh, and the spread on that one is for Vegas by 3.5. Rich, what do you have?
Yeah, Rich has a bad spread here. I don't know why I said 3.5. It should be higher than this. I don't know what Shuggy, the Rams they're probably gonna lose easily. I hate to say that for a new coach, but I rarely see new coaches come in here and just, start playing well right away out of the gate. So I'm gonna take the Raiders, give the points. I think they win easy.
All right. Dean, what do you have on this last one?
I'm seeing like a 24-20 or 27-21 kind of win for the Raiders. I think it's going to be close. I think the Rams are going to be tougher than people expect, even though it is his first PNFL game. I wouldn't count him out. I wouldn't count out Shuggy. But I think the Rams are going to be improved this year. I'm seeing like a 4 to 6 point win at home by the Rams.
Oh, so you're taking the Rams on this
or
one?
the Raiders?
I mean the Raiders. They're the Raiders.
Okay, yeah, taking the Raiders.
Win at home by the Raiders.
Okay. Mitch, what do you have?
Raiders will win. I don't know what the score will be, but they'll win.
Okay. I had to concur with. I think we're all in agreement on this last one. I think Shuggy's gonna, it is the first one in the season in this new league, and this isn't, for me personally, this is my first game was nothing compared to what I played in other leagues. This league is completely on a whole new level, so I think that first one's gonna be a rough going. So I am picking Vegas on this one as well. So. All right, so yeah, we went over an hour. Oh well, but I think there was a lot of good info in there, and as it was told to us before, if the conversation is good and the topics are good, we just kind of let it run. So we did that. I would like to thank Rich for coming on. on the show today and giving some of his insight and some of his banter as well. And smacking Mitch around a little bit. So every once in a while, it's good
Thanks
to
for
kind of,
having me, guys.
huh?
Thanks for having me. It's been
Hey,
fun.
not a problem. So definitely kind of nice to kind of knock Mitch around a little bit. We were a little bit nicer this time because he's not feeling too well. So as we come to wrap this up, we're going to go around the table one last time. Any final words you have over there, Rich?
Just to remind coaches, week 1 is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Get those PPPs in. I want all the games done by Friday night.
Okay.
That's it. Let's do it.
All right. Dean, what do you have?
I'm going to be very interested as I watch the games to see what kind of game plans everyone has put together with all of the changes and cleanup of the play files and updating of plays and deleting some plays and fixing some and all of that. So it's going to be really interesting to see what everyone has done, because I would imagine all 18 of us have changed the way changed things because of those off-season changes. It's going to be interesting to see what plays are in other teams' game plans as we watch these games on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Right. All right. Mitch, what do you have before you take us home?
I have nothing other than looking forward to finally getting the games kicked off. So I think it's just time to let's get it.